Today we're going to be water glassing some farm fresh eggs using some pickling lime. I got this off of Amazon and it came in this 1 pound bag. And then we also need a bucket, or you could use a gallon jar, even a half-gallon jar would work. I like to use a 2-gallon bucket because you can fit a lot of eggs in here. And you don't have to worry about the eggs on the bottom breaking because there's not going to be that much weight on top of them. And then we also need a scale to weigh out our pickling lime, and a quart jar for measuring the water. I'm going to be using unwashed eggs that have not been refrigerated, and the reason you want them to not be washed is because they have a protective coating on them called the bloom, and this just protects the egg from getting any bacteria or anything like that inside of it. But as soon as you wash them, you wash that protective coating off, and then they're no longer safe to be water glassed. So I like to use the cleaner eggs for water glassing, and then if there's any that are dirty, I just wash those and put them in my refrigerator. And sometimes if your egg does have a little bit of dirt or a little spot on it, you can try to gently scrape it off or rub it off, and that's fine to use. But if you need to use like a towel or something to really rub at the spot, then that's going to remove the bloom as well, and then the egg can no longer be used to water glass. These eggs will be good in storage for up to 2 years, and then once there's no more eggs left in the bucket, dump the water outside instead of putting it down the drain because it can clog up your drain pipes. I also like to make sure the eggs that I'm buying have a really thick shell. That way they're less likely to crack if you put them in on top of each other. I water glassed some eggs one year that had really thin shell, and they did break a lot easier, and I had a lot more waste that way. If the water gets a little bit cloudy and starts to smell a little bit, it might be because one of the eggs cracked open. When that happened to me, I just left all the eggs right where they were at, and later when I went through them to use them, I found a few that had cracked at the bottom, and those were no good, but the rest of the eggs were not affected by that. I just used those. Just make sure that you rinse them off really well before you crack them open. So the first time that I water glassed eggs, I did close to 100 dozen, and we ate all of them throughout the winter. I didn't have to buy eggs once unless we wanted to have some just for like frying. Because when you do crack these eggs after they've been sitting for a while, the yolk doesn't really stay intact. So these are great for like scrambling or just to use in baking. But if I wanted to make some dippy eggs for breakfast, I would just go and buy some organic brown eggs at the grocery store. So now that we have all of our eggs in here, I'm going to mix up my solution. I like to do 1 quart of water to 1 ounce of the pickling lime. So even though my bucket is not full of eggs, I still covered the eggs with the solution so that none of the eggs are sticking up out of the water. And then I'm just going to continue to add eggs to this until it is full, and then I'll just keep topping it off with more of the lime solution until it's full, and then I'll put the lid on. And I like to mark my buckets on the side because I stack them on top of each other. That way I can tell just by looking at them which bucket needs to be used first. Well, I hope that this video was helpful. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.